The brain is the most powerful tool humankind will ever have. For how easily it can be broken, it is remarkably difficult to be fixed. Meanwhile, as the brain is broken, it creates a story that can never be forgotten. Together we will capture these stories and share them with the world to relate and connect on real life battles. Join me as we enter into the darkest times of people's lives. I'm Jimmy Boyd, and this is Shattered Minds. "10 Reasons Why." I was lucky enough to be given love from family since I was born. Amazing grandparents, cousins, mom, and dad. I lived with my mom and grandparents at first. My dad lived elsewhere. At the time, I didn't understand much, but my dad and mom weren't together anymore, and from what I found out later, it was my fault too. My mom tells me it's not, and it's just circumstance. But if you get down to it, my existence is why they split. My mom and dad are quite older. In fact, they're boomers, whereas I'm only 16. My mom got told she was too old to get pregnant. That's the story I got anyway. And that is what led to my accidental birth. My mom still calls it a miracle though. Another thing I should mention before continuing is that both of my parents are alcoholics. At the time, my mom worked full-time, and after my birth, my mom let my dad take care of me since he had been fired, and she was too busy to stay at home. The bad side was, my dad took care of me while heavily intoxicated. Not smart, but as an alcoholic, it wasn't easy for him. This led to my mom eventually kicking him out. This was way before I could even form thoughts. But just as my existence is the cause, if I wasn't born, there wouldn't have been a reason for my dad to be kicked out. Issue 1. I made my parents split. Luckily, my dad was still in my life. He visited on birthdays and Christmas. Later on, my mom got sent to a rehabilitation center for 2 years. I was just starting kindergarten. I was sent to live with my godparents, my aunt, and uncle. It was tough to get used to. I had to give away my dog, move schools, and couldn't see my mom for 2 years, but I got through it. One night, out of nowhere, my uncle started abusing me. The only incident I can remember is when he picked me up by the neck and nearly choked me to death. My aunt, of course, didn't believe me. However, after I went back home, my mom found evidence of more abuse, such as fork marks in the back of my throat from being force-fed. This led to an eating disorder and PTSD. Issue 2. Abuse. Issue 3. PTSD and ARFID. Things went well for a while. I moved into a new home with my mom. I got a new dog and I made some friends. I was happy for a while. I'm still grateful for that. It didn't last forever though. I started letting my special side out in school. I partly blame it on my autism, but I was way too sensitive. I cried and made a scene out of everything. I lost myself so far in one class and started throwing chairs and desks until the class was evacuated. I even tried suffocating myself with my jacket by wrapping it around my neck. My friend stopped me. I was brought to a learning program for special kids called TIP. The bullying there was relentless. And then, to top it all off, my dad passed away. I was super close to him, but the year before he died, I started ignoring him for no reason. I didn't want to visit him, and when I did, I would just sit and watch YouTube or play games, not even talking to him. I hated myself for that after he died. I still do. He was an amazing father. Issue 4. Too special. Issue 5. Loss. Around 7th grade, I got my first girlfriend. I was still overcoming my issues at the time, so I wasn't ready for the dating scene, but I didn't want to be alone anymore. Around 1 month in, she introduced me to self-harm. For some reason, I decided to pick it up from her. I wanted to show her that I've been through pain too. I didn't want her to feel alone. I started with light cuts, barely causing blood, but that was the start of my self-harm, and I deeply regret it. 2 months in, and she broke up with me. I had no idea why, but she did. I felt empty and distraught. I ignored all my friends because of her and lost all but one because I thought I only ever needed her. It was the worst period of my life. A few months later, we started talking again, and my dumbass self started dating her again, just like last time. We barely got through the honeymoon phase before I found out she was cheating on me. In fact, the first time we went out, she also cheated, and that's why she randomly broke up one day. To top it all off, at the time, my mom had to be hospitalized again for obsessive drinking, forcing me to live with my grandparents. I was over-attached to this girl and thought my life was over right then and there. And so, I actually tried killing myself. I had a knife to my wrist for a good half hour. I wanted to end it all, but I was too scared. I ended up cutting my arm up again and didn't go for the kill though. Issue 6. Self-harm. Issue 7. Heartbreak. In 8th grade, after years of questioning, I came out to myself as transgender. Suddenly, all the random times of depression and hating my face and body made sense. I was too masculine, and I hated it so much. Around this time, I also started cutting more, probably the most I've ever cut. And the more I cut, the more force I put on the blade, the worse my cuts got. At this point, they started becoming noticeable scars. If I couldn't see white after cutting, and blood didn't spill out, I had to cut again until I got that result. I also started learning more about others and their issues. I started comparing myself. All that I went through was insignificant compared to what they had to deal with. I thought, why am I complaining? I should be fine. They went through worse. Why am I worrying? I'm nothing, etc. I started hating myself even more. Issue 8. I'm trans. Issue 9. Scars. Issue 10. Compared to others. Every day is a pain, thanks to depression and dysphoria. I quit cutting so many times just to pick it back up again. I have to constantly hide my arm because of the scars or recently scabbed over wounds. I started cutting worse too. Depression is just a part of my life now. Being genuinely for just a little bit of time is a miracle for me. I've lost emotions too. Luckily enough, I'm not a sociopath, but I've lost my care towards people. I sometimes crave killing just random people, no matter how much I hate to admit it. I'm not okay. My mind is shattered from fucked up thoughts and lack of emotion, and I can't even show care towards my family anymore because I don't effing feel it anymore. I hate it. This is the end of story. 10 reasons why. This message is directly to the anonymous writer. To be honest, when I first started reading this story in the beginning, I really thought this was not going to be as impactful emotionally as I thought it would be. After further reading, I was clearly wrong. For starters, this is by far the most in-depth story I've ever told here on this channel. The amount of trauma and pain you experience throughout your life is beyond what I thought any human being could even handle. I'd first like to say, for you to be telling a story so compelling as this one is, I applaud you. For most of us, we generally would not be able to find the ability to scrounge up enough courage to speak about these types of things. So for that reason, I would like to acknowledge you personally for the courage and fighting spirit to want to share your story. This story, I am 100% sure, will help others, and so many people can relate to these events. I feel like you are a melting pot for understanding emotions so well, as you endured so much, probably more than most of us will ever experience. You say you may have 10 issues that you have to deal with each day, but in many ways, I think some or all of these events will help you in the long run, and will definitely impact enough viewers on this channel to inflict change in other people's lives. You are definitely someone I would award for having such courage and strength for, after all you have been through, to want to continue to help others. I also would like to say, I really hope your life is continuing to get better for you, and you are healing properly from your past events. I cannot begin to understand what pain you must be feeling, emotionally, physically, and all the above. You've definitely come from a rough place in life, but I can tell that you are overcoming these dark times with each passing day. Continue fighting, and keep seeking refuge. As long as you keep pushing forward, I know you will see the light after all these dark nights pass away. Keep your head up and look forward to your future that will bring you so much good that you deserve. I wish you the best. Finally, I would like to say, to all my viewers, please pay attention closely to everything this individual has been through. They are the direct result and living proof that the body and mind can handle so much more than we really think we can. Sometimes it's so much easier to give up, but this person clearly reminded themselves enough that all they needed was patience, and to have hope and faith that tomorrow would come, and they would live a better day. I hope that this message will help many of you going through a hard time. Please take a deep breath, relax, and know your time will come. Just because your life is not how you wish for it to be today, does not mean tomorrow will be the same. You have full control over your life, and if you want it to be better, this is a choice. So get out there and make it better, and never give up. If you know someone who is contemplating suicide, please know that you are not alone. You are loved. You are cared for. People are here for you. You can find help at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Call the number on your screen. People are here available to speak to you at any time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Thank you for watching.